Across the United States, many Asian Americans reeled at the news of a shooting spree at three spas in and around Atlanta on Tuesday night that left 8 people dead, including 6 Asian women. Authorities said the 21-year-old white male suspect told them he had a sex addiction and that the attacks may not have had a racial motivation. But after a year in which reports of hate crimes against Asian Americans have skyrocketed, the shooting sparked fresh outrage, fear, and demands for a government response. In Houston, I'm joined now by Tu Nguyen, the director of OCA National. Thank you, Tu, for joining us this hour to discuss this ongoing and truly harrowing story. First of all, Tu, give us a sense of the alarm and sadness that I imagine is in the Asian American community this hour.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Well, all year long, the past year, there's been a sort of underlying tension as hate incidences against Asian Americans increase. But this has been a really devastating and this tragedy strikes open fear in Asian Americans across the country and in having to step out of our houses.
And of course, part of the reason why this story is so shocking too is it seems not only an attack on Asian Americans, but specifically targeting women. What lessons do you hope that people can take away from this harrowing incident?
Absolutely, that racism and misogyny is still an underlying problem in America, and Americans need to take this tragedy as their call to wake up, self-reflect on their unconscious biases, and be effective bystanders in calling out anything that they see for what it is, as a hate incident motivated by race, as a hate incident motivated by misogyny, and stand in solidarity with victims and survivors. And so we need Americans to understand that it's important to label these incidences as misogynistic, as racist, so that we can condemn them when they happen and make sure they don't happen again.
In the meantime, too, what can be done within the community to try to begin a process of healing, as we've seen again and again in shooting sprees across the U.S., unfortunately, in recent years?
I mean, it's as simple as checking in on your loved ones. You don't know who around you may be feeling vulnerable. And right now, these incidences are targeted towards anyone who is vulnerable. And also OCA and our chapters nationwide, we've been coordinating buddy systems. And so when possible, to go out in groups and be there for one another and just continue to educate each other, educate your friends, family, on these incidences that are happening so that we can be watchful and protect each other.
On the point of education too, what do you say to people who say, well, it's not clear that this attack was in fact racially motivated?
I would push back against that because there is a recording of police officers responding to the incident where they're trying to track down the shooter and they say, you know, go look at all the other Asian parlors. And so there's that unconscious level of understanding this is racially motivated, and anti-Asian hate there's a long history of it in the country. And this isn't isolated with just the Asian American community. There's been hate against other communities of colors and vulnerable people. And so I would push back against that and ask that they continue to educate themselves and talk to other communities.